Ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to you all. The Government of Seychelles, through the Ministry of Finance, Economic Planning and Trade, has reformed its budget process by fully adopting Program Performance-Based Budgeting, PPBB, which is part of the Result-Based Management Reform. The reform is aimed at improving the efficiency and effectiveness of public sector management, whilst enhancing accountability and transparency. Prior to the reform, budget allocations made by the ministries, departments and agencies, MDAs, were based on incrementally providing annual funding for institutions and their input needs, rather than on making medium-term trade-offs between strategic policy priorities against national and lower-order plans. In their budget discipline below, the aggregate level was weak, resulting in continuous budgeting at all levels, thereby undermining ex-ante processes. Institutions failed to provide systematic information to the Ministry of Finance, Economic Planning and Trade and the legislature regarding their plans, priorities, results, targets, and achievements. This, in turn, weakened the government's ability to monitor and evaluate policy implementation and outcomes, as well as the legislature's ability to practice oversight and hold the government to accountable. PPBB comprises budgeting for and reporting on public expenditure by program. These are structured according to the policy mandates of public sector institutions, whilst also taking into consideration their performance against national and priority objectives, as well as available financing. In this way, PPBB improves the effectiveness and efficiency of public expenditure allocation and operations. From an oversight perspective, PPBB provides better information about the link between the government's policy priorities and plans, as well as the use of its resources, thus enhancing transparency. From a managerial perspective, less micromanagement of resources by higher levels of the public sector hierarchy in return for policy results by the lower level, thus greater accountability. I would like to explain further the accountability by the four main key players in the budget process. Firstly, the MDAs are accountable for policy performance and the regular use of allocated public resources. They develop policies, propose trade-offs within their resource envelope, and plan for sector MDA performance. They manage their financial resources prudently and report on financial and non-financial performance. Secondly, the Ministry of Finance, Economic Planning and Trade is accountable for fiscal performance and cost-effective use of resource across MDAs. It sets out the macro fiscal framework, including the expenditure ceiling, and allocates resources between MDAs based on national priorities and an MDA's proposal. It enforces expenditure controls and monitors performance. It sets budget system and rules. Thirdly, the Cabinet is politically accountable for fiscal and policy performance. It sets national priorities, approves the budget proposal for submission to the legislature, and monitors government performance. Individual ministers engage with the public bodies under their oversight regarding policy and expenditure proposal and performance. And lastly, the legislature is politically accountable to voters for its oversight of government performance and use of public resources. It reviews and approves expenditure proposals from the executive. It holds the executive to account for the use of funds as appropriated, as well as for policy performance through in-year and ex-post oversight. Ladies and gentlemen, today, as this training for young people gets underway, I want to express my appreciation to Transparency Initiative Seychelles to initiate such a program, and a special thank you to the US Embassy for making this training a reality. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you all a fruitful training program.